This is Lesson 1-6, Guide to Solving Number Stories. When we need to solve a number story, the first thing we have to do is make sense of the problem. We have to read the problem. Think about, what do we know, and what do we need to find out? Okay, so here's my problem. Terrell is a competitive stair climber. He competes by climbing stairs as fast as he can. This year, he wants to climb 400 stories. The Burj Khalifa in the United Arab Emirates is the world's tallest building with 163 stories. The Petronas Towers, the tallest building in Malaysia, has 88 stories. The Xifeng Tower in China has 89 stories. If Terrell climbs these 3 buildings, how many more stories will he need to climb to reach his goal of 400? Okay, so I know that he wants to climb 400 stories. That's his goal. Now, if he climbs these 3 buildings, we have a building with 163 stories, and a building with 88 stories, and a building with 89 stories. So if he climbs these 3 buildings, how many more stories will he need to climb to get to 400? So I understand my story. Once I understand my story, it's time to make a plan. So I have to think about my numbers and what do I need to do with them? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Sometimes drawing a picture or a diagram is helpful, a table, a graph, a number model. I can use manipulatives like base 10 blocks or fraction circles if I need to, number grids, number lines. Okay, let's look at the story. So I see that the first thing I need to do is make an estimate. All right. 163 stories. So that's about, I'm going to choose a close but easier number. I'm going to choose 150 stories for that. And 88 stories is close to 100. And 89 stories is close to 100. So my number model for my estimate, 150 plus 100 plus 100, I'm estimating that he will have climbed about 350 stories if he climbs these 3 buildings. Okay. The question is, how many more stories will he need to climb to get to 400? So with my estimate of 350, I'm estimating that he has about 50 more stories to go to get to 400. Okay, there's my estimate. Now I need to solve for the exact answer. So first, to find out exactly how many stories he's climbed when he climbs these 3 buildings, I add these 3 numbers, 163, 88, and 89, and I get a total of 340. That's what he climbed if he climbs these 3 buildings. So how many more stairs to get to 400? To get from 340 to 400, I would need to climb 60 more stories. Okay, now what number model did I do to solve this question? Well, I had to do the 163 and the 88 and the 89, I had to add those together first. So let me put that in parentheses. Now, once I got that sum, you remember was 340, I had to actually minus that from the 400 goal. So I'm going to put 400 minus 163 plus 88 plus 89. Remember, the parentheses say do this first. That is the first step that I took. I added these together. When I added them together, I got 340. Oops. There we go. I got 340 when I added these numbers together. Let me just move my estimate out of the way. So the first thing I did was add these three buildings, the stories of these three buildings together to get my 340. After I did that, then I could do 400 minus 340, and I get my answer of 60 stories. So what I did here was I'm showing my work, because the next part of making sense and problem solving is show your work, keep trying if you get stuck, reread the problem, think about strategies you've tried and any new strategies, write your answer with the units. My units are already written for me, 60 stories, and check. Does your work make sense? How do you know? Well, when I estimated, that he would have 50 stories to go, and I rounded my numbers to these close but easier numbers, and so I think that my estimate is reasonable. So if my answer is in the ballpark of my estimate, then I know I have a reasonable answer. 60 stories to go. See you in class tomorrow for more problem solving.